Hey everyone, happy Thursday night. I am having a unique week this week, and so I'm trying to get ahead and do my weekly update, our weekly update tonight. And that way we can hit the ground running. We have had a great week, and we've got a great week coming up next week. So lots to share. I'm going to jump right in. I am going to apologize for looking down a lot because I've got a different configuration working from the Habits household right now. So as we begin, I wanted to first welcome some new team members that we have who are starting next week in Sprout School. That's April, Jacqueline, and Victoria. They are joining our nursing team, and as I said, they're going to go to Sprout School next week with Alex. So we're really, really eager to have them start. Welcome to those ladies. Also, exciting news from this week, if you hadn't heard, Alex hosted our first ever Sprout School Part 2. 2.0 is what we're calling it. And 2.0 of Sprout School is kind of segmented. The first round we've dedicated to nurses, since that's the biggest growing area of our team right now. And this week they concentrated on whiteboard. Next Sprout School 2.0 round, they're going to concentrate on what happens in appointments as far as appointment running, record keeping, that kind of thing. So I'm really, really excited, and a big, big kudos to Alex for making all that happen and giving everybody just hands down the best experience. So keep up the good work, girl. Thanks for everybody who's participated. You guys are doing great. I am so, so excited to see what we accomplish next. So here's some housekeeping things that I wanted to go over. First, and as always, I have to remind you, although we're doing great with training and everybody completing them, I want to make sure that y'all are not just watching the video, that you're also reading the text, because a lot of times I give so much more detail in the text than I do in the video, because I try and go pretty quickly through it. So you've got to make sure that you read the text. It's one of those like see it, read it, then you can do it type of systems. So make sure you read everything before you click I'm finished. Part of this is that we're going to hold you accountable for what we say and what you read, and when you click you're finished, that you're agreeing to that. So it's really, really critical that y'all get those fine details in there so that you can do the best job and keep it up. Okay, so here we go with the housekeeping parts. First of all, we have reclassed our ancillary over-the-counter products to be pharmacy ancillary in the category. So what that does is it makes them appear in the RX tab within Avamark, which you guys will love, because then you can search for these when you're looking for refills or just looking to confirm what clients are giving their pets at home. And so you'll now see those products there. They'll also appear in chronological, as they always have, and so you can search for them in either place if you know by name, or again just quickly reference on that RX tab. I already love it. The next thing is just keeping up with recommendations for safekeeping of our controlled medications. We're adding locking cabinets or locks to the cabinets in some specific areas. So again, put a lot of detail in the text here, but just to run through it, we're adding a lock to the cabinet in the treatment room above the sink. So that would be the one that's directly outside of room 6. And what we want you to use this for are locking up controlled medications of pets who are in the hospital. So if you've dispensed a controlled medication to a pet who's staying with us in the hospital, or they brought their own from home, that gets locked up in the cabinet there, as well as any of those emergency triage drugs that we regularly access in those areas. There's going to be a lock on that cabinet as well. And to make that a reasonable working type of situation, and we're not trying to interfere with what we're doing, we're just trying to be more compliant and safer in general, we're going to put a keypad that's going to hold the key and give access to those who regularly need it. Typically, those who are shift leaders will get access to that code, and they can get the key out and dispense what you're needing at that point. We'll be following the same type of keypad lock on the cabinet system in the senior pet boarding room. That's the old family suite at the resort. So pets who are staying at the resort who come in with controlled medications or are discharged from the hospital with controlled medications, those will be locked in that cabinet. Again, a keypad that holds the key will be on the wall nearby. Shift leaders get access, okay? Y'all see where we're going with this. The other locking area that we're adding is in a drawer at the resort front desk. That'll primarily be used for pets who have refills that the client is coming to pick up that are kind of pending in that holding area. And what specifically I want you to know for this is that if somebody requests a controlled drug refill and other things, you put all of those things together and lock them all up. That way the client leaves with everything that they've come to pick up. So that means that if they're requesting a controlled drug and a medication for another pet in the household, those all go in one bag. They get locked up in the controlled drug drawer. And again, a keypad with the key kept nearby. Regular only team members who need to access that will get access to that particular area. So again, customer care team would have access to that, but other team members would not have access to that. Hopefully that makes sense. Happy to qualify as we go forward. Those locks will be installed next Monday. And again, we'll start using them immediately once they're installed, okay? So make sure that you know how those work. I also wanted to share with everybody to be aware that pre-anesthetic blood work, not an optional thing. Wellness blood work is an optional thing. So anytime that we're going to be putting a pet under anesthesia, we want to do that blood work, and we want to make sure that that blood work is current or has been run within the last 6 weeks. So don't make this an option to clients. You can't remove it out of an estimate. You especially can't remove it out of anything that we have in a group. So like if you're having a dog in to be spayed, that pet's going to get pre-anesthetic blood work, and all those treatments are in a group. So that will not come out of there. You have to make sure that you do that specifically. It's just never optional when a pet's going under anesthesia. That's one of those things that makes us so successful with reducing the risk of an anesthetic. Is that's one of those key steps among others. Make sure you're educated on that, and make sure that if you've been doing that, you stop now, okay? The next thing that I wanted to go over, we've reviewed this quite a few times now, and so I'm going to say this very, very seriously. Our team has to get a great handle on transferring pets in between the hospital and the resort. This is definitely one of our most vulnerable areas as a practice, and we just have to get better. And I think some of our team is definitely getting frustrated, and I know some of our clients have been very disappointed with the way that we handle this. It's pretty simple. It's black and white. So here's what we want you to do. Every time that you're moving a pet from either the hospital or the resort, you have to stop by the front desk and explain where you're moving that pet. Our CCS team members are trained and ready, and they have everything in place to make sure that they share with you the right details that they either need from you or that they need to give you about that particular pet. So nurses, if you're going into the resort to take a pet back to the hospital to receive services, you stop by the front desk to find out where that pet's staying. You get a little tag, you put it on the front of that pet's kennel when you take them out and walk back to the hospital with them. This communicates to the rest of the team, hey, this pet didn't escape. They've actually been temporarily checked out, right? And then when you go to return them, you stop right back by the front desk and you discharge them as if you were discharging them to an owner. So if they have medications that are going home, you have to tell the resort team right then. If you don't do that, and if you just put the meds with the pet, they will not be given. Okay, it is critical. Even if you don't want the meds to be given, you have to stop and explain to the resort team what's going on. They're going to add those new items to that pet's contract to make sure the pet goes home with them. If you do want the meds to be given, especially share that when you're checking them back into the resort or discharging them to the front desk resort team, because meds do not get given at the resort unless they are added to a medications list. Much like at the hospital, nothing happens for a pet unless it's on whiteboard. So that's their process. You absolutely have to understand that. And if you bypass that step, nothing happens. It's just nothing happens. And so a lot of times that falls to, well, not a lot of times, to me, that's substandard care. So this is our protocol. If you are bringing a pet from the resort and checking them into the hospital, maybe they've had a bath, or maybe they're concluding boarding care and they're going to the hospital and gonna stay the rest of the time there. Maybe they're having a procedure, whatever that case may be, you can't just bring the pet and put them in the treatment room. There are processes there that are similar to the resort, but the own hospital version of that. So resort team, customer care team, that pet has to make it onto whiteboard. That pet needs to be checked in thoroughly. That pet's items need to be cataloged somewhere. They need a specific cage card. There are a lot of things that has to happen. So stopping at the front desk will ensure that those things do happen. It's just like as if you were the owner and you were bringing them in. We would never expect an owner to go back there. So those are the specific things that need to happen. To be completely clear, I've written it out in the training section for you. Just stop by the front desk and check them in and check them out and make sure that you put the appropriate things where they're supposed to. Customer care team, I'm counting on you to be the guides for this. It's really important. We have failed 2 times this week at this, and we have to do better. And I know that we all want to do better. So now that we're at a point of understanding, please consider this everybody on our team's warning. This is how this has to happen, and I'll hold you accountable for this from now on. There are no exceptions to this rule, so work as a team to make it happen. With that said, we really need to specifically talk about when pets are boarding at the resort and they come to the hospital after hours to get care. So I want to make a protocol now going forward, and again, it's in the training and writing. If you're not catching this theme, all the extra details are there. Our new protocol going forward will be that pets can only receive care at the hospital and return to the resort during resort operating hours when there's somebody at the front desk. The reason for this is if there's somebody at the front desk, we know that the resort is completely staffed at that point and available to respond to a pet who may be in distress, maybe having a reaction to their treatments. We know there's a front desk team member to receive that pet's supplies, which we just talked about, for all those reasons. This doesn't mean that pets can only receive services at the hospital when the resort is open. What it means is that they can only be transferred back to the resort when the resort is open, just to make sure that all the details of that pet are caught and that there's somebody there to receive that pet and monitor them immediately following their treatments. What I'd recommend for a pet who's seen at the hospital from the resort after hours is to keep that pet at the hospital until the resort reopens, in which point you can discharge them and monitoring can continue. So if you have a pet who needs care after hours, or if you have a client who arranged to see a doctor who's working after 6 p.m. during the week or whatever on the weekends, that's totally fine. I encourage that actually because we're typically more available later in the night and can do those things. Just keep that pet at the hospital and don't transfer them back. Again, all the details in the text. Nurses, Danielle and Rachel and Dana and Michelle and everybody has asked me to put this in there, so we have to clarify this as a team. You have to complete all of the tasks on your task list, which are assigned by shift, every day before you leave. There are there's no exceptions to that, so please do better with that. And make sure that you understand everything that's on your checklist. That may be a reason why you're not doing it, or you're thinking that there's an item that's optional or doesn't need to be done every day. If those are the cases, the best course that you have is to talk to Danielle about that, and she'll make sure to explain it, or maybe the task list needs to be altered. But what can't happen is you can't just not do it. You have to work as a group to make sure that those things happen. It's really incredibly important. Also a notice from Rachel Aloya, who's our grooming supervisor. She wanted me to share that we are able to now start priority grooming and bathing appointments. And so I've attached an SOP from her to this that describes all of this. But basically this, what this is saying is that we can now take requests for time out from clients. So people who maybe say, can my pet be done by noon? That there's a way that we can schedule that, and there's a way that we can ensure that's done. Of course, we can't ensure that for everybody, but there's a specific way to schedule that. So rather than running through those details now, I want you to read that SOP and understand how that works. And be sure that we can be thorough about preventing too many clients from being promised that service, which will be a great thing to qualify. Okay, and the next thing that I wanted to talk about was about our AHA evaluation coming up. I can't believe that it's finally here. Hugely passionate about the American Animal Hospital Association that we call AHA. Our evaluation is next Tuesday, the 26th at approximately 9 a.m. And so here's what's going to happen. Our evaluator, her name is Lisa, she will come into our practice that morning, and the evaluation process is kind of like a very in-depth student tour, right? So we linger in all areas and review standards that occur or that those areas are the base of as we go through. And typically leading that evaluation process is Danielle, and then myself. And what we do is we go through and essentially we'll give Lisa a tour, and she will linger in certain areas and maybe watch us work, watch us perform in those areas, so that she can ensure that we are actually capable of fulfilling all the AHA standards. I just want to say I am so proud of us for this year. It's pretty typical that we pass an AHA evaluation, but passing it with flying colors as we've done this year, I was so proud to submit our AHA evaluation online because we have beat our scores for past years by incorporating so many new protocols this year. Some of the biggest being our chemo protocol, our isolation protocol, a lot of our client services protocols, or protocols on controlled drugs. We're just so far exceeding what the minimum standard for this exemplary organization is, which the minimum standard is very stringent. And to know that we are getting max scores in almost all areas just makes me so proud. That's like, we not only raised the bar, but we're just dominating in that area. We took the bar and threw it away, and we're sky high now. It's just incredible. And I know that so many people work so hard every day, and then so many people worked even harder to make sure that we could do that. Just makes me really proud to be part of a team who is so committed to excellence. It's just incredible. So thank you for all your hard work. I cannot wait to show us off. It's kind of like Christmas for Danielle and I, because we've seen all of your hard work individually come together now when we submitted this, and we're just so proud to show this off to Lisa and impress her, and also to get great feedback from her on not only our performance, but if there are any areas where we can do better. It's just a really cool thing. So thanks again for that. Please don't be nervous in going through. I promise you, if you do what you do every day, you're going to really impress her. So thank you for that. The next thing that I'm really excited to introduce is called iCare. This is a third-party payment plan, but not to be confused with scratch payments or care credit. This one's very different. And the basis of it being different is that there is no credit application required for clients. So a lot of people who are not approved for care credit or for scratch, but they need those payment options, they don't have to have a credit score that's a reasonable score to apply for this. What they have to have is a checking account and an ID. And so there's a lot more people that will be considered for this one than in others. And the benefits to our practice is that we are not charged interest for processing their payments like we are with those, so that we can actually capture the majority of our service cost on this. There are some details that we put in here. There's a lot of details actually that we put in the text, but we're really excited to offer this. We need everybody to be trained in this area because there, again, are specific things that we have to do as a practice to guarantee that we get paid. It's a little bit more stringent than Care Credit, but again, the reward is well worth the work. So what we're going to do is attach the SOP to the training today. That's what you can read. That's going to give you an overview of iCare. It's also going to give you details on how to apply. Also, Jamie, who's just done a terrific job with this, and Beryl also, they have put together a binder for the customer care team so that when we are first applying for iCare and implementing payments for that, you have a step-by-step reference guide to go through. So that's incredible in itself. And then also Jamie's going to offer training to all nurses and all customer care team members. Everybody will have to absolutely do this. She's going to offer group training, individual training for everyone within the next 3 weeks. We're going to require that you do that. Okay, so make sure that you read all of that to get started. This is what we want you to know right now. Effective immediately, iCare is our primary, number one, first to go to third-party payment plan coordinator. So the order that we want you to apply is first iCare, second Scratch, third Care Credit. So Care Credit being the last option. It would be my hope, if this goes as planned and anticipated, that we will be able to do away with Care Credit even, because the costs are so darn high. It really cuts into our profit margin and it's almost becoming unaffordable to offer. It's also very expensive to the client if they actually realize the fees that they're going to be charged after the interest-free period is over. And iCare just doesn't do that. It's got a tremendous opportunity for clients to save money and to also afford our care. So again, applying that order effective immediately. The SOP and the reference guide should well walk you through what we need to do. So thanks to Beryl and to Jamie especially for doing those things and getting those going for us. Again, read the text. It will help you. The last thing that I wanted to share that we're implementing now is within Humanity, we are employing the feature called Skills. And what Skills are is essentially captures a specific area of your performance and your skill to reflect in your Humanity profile so that we know as our team's grown exactly who is skilled in which area. And then it reminds us to re-qualify you or recertify you on those skills annually. So what we've done is we have determined skills. We've got about 25 skills on a list, plus anything that you have become CE certified in the last year, like maybe CPR, dental discussions, canine behavior, senior pet care, any of those things that you've earned a badge for, exotic pet care, any of those things that you've earned a badge for, also a skill. And it's not only having to be founded within your current position, but anywhere that you've worked before, anywhere that you've cross-trained before. It gives us a comprehensive list of those things. So we've composed that now. We've checked them all off within your Humanity profile. And the next step is we're going to have your assistant manager or your supervisor sit down with you during the next week and just confirm those things to make sure that we've absolutely caught everything that we know that you're skilled for, and you can speak up if you know you have additional skills that aren't yet reflected. So check that out within your Humanity profile. Come to your supervisor ready to explain any other skills that you think you can fulfill, and we'll mark those down too. Then we'll continue to look at those each time we do an evaluation, and we can set some real growth opportunities for you. We'll perpetually add skills as we continue to educate you, and as you attend these meetings and can earn badges and those skills, we'll check those off. You can also seek on your own training to earn skills, like maybe by becoming cross-trained in other areas. It just creates so much more value for you within our company, so we can call upon you for other things and you can really become an expert in multiple areas. So you can seek these out yourself. create your own value. It's huge. And of course, that's going to reflect on your performance scores, on your core value scores, and it's all going to equate to a lot of good things for you, including opportunities for raises and promotions. So make sure you take care of yourself and you do that. Go look at your humanity profile and assess your skills. So that's it for this week. I am so proud of everybody. It's been a tremendous week. Again, really excited for next week and especially for our AHA evaluation. Thank you. Have a happy Friday since it's Thursday night, and keep up the great work. Bye, guys.